Hello, 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 and welcome to Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk Live. We are live here on a Tuesday, very close to 1 o'clock, a lot closer than we were last week. So, give us a little props in the comments and the likes.
Right? Better each week.
Better each week. As always, we are powered by Fairway Food Stores, along with the ads you'll see at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this, you're on Washington Live, Mount Pleasant Live, or Fairfield Live's Facebook, Washington Live Spotify, YouTube, at Union Sports page on Twitter. I don't know if I remember to pin that, but I'll do that when Hunter starts talking. And speaking of Hunter, we got Hunter with us, fresh off his, should I say that? Well, who cares? Fresh off his bachelor party. Yeah. It's not like he got arrested and ended up in another country.
Nope.
And Nikki Brackets, as always, around the ones and twos. What?
My head's peeling.
Oh, yeah, you are.
Pretty bad.
I'm colorblind. It's harder for me to tell when people are burnt. Everyone's tanner than me anyway. So we're going to talk. We're going to go big school baseball first today on the sports talk. Sorry, big school softball. That's incorrect. Hunter was at a pretty darn big doubleheader last night. Washington entered needing to sweep last night, so they need to sweep this week to win that conference championship. How did it go, Hunter?
Yeah, as you mentioned, Burlington, the number one and two teams in the Southeast Conference softball facing off last night, kicking off the series with a doubleheader in Burlington last night. Demons needed to sweep. Got a huge win in Game 1, 8-7, but it ended up falling 9-6 in the second. Burlington obviously rated number 12 in Class 4A. In Game 1, it wasn't looking very, very good for the Demons through 5 innings of action. They were down 5-1. Heading into the sixth, but they never gave up. Lauren Hendrickson drew a walk at the top of the sixth, and then Bella Salazar singled to move to put runners at first and second there, and then Emery Walton hit a base hit, scoring Hendrickson in the process, cutting it to 5-2. Wasn't done there in the inning. Kendall Hendrickson then singled to load the bases with no outs, and then Salazar scored on a pass ball to make it 5-3. And then Leighton Salazar had an RBI single. She had a big game in that one. And then RBI ground out by Ella Griner made it 5-5. And then in the next at bat, Haley Mitchell, lone senior for the Demons there, hit an RBI single to give them a 6-5 lead. Short-lived lead for them. Burlington answered back in the bottom of that frame there with 2 runs to take the lead back 7-6. Washington kind of kept the momentum going from that 6th inning into the top of the 7th there. Lauren Hendrickson once again up, drew a leadoff walk, and then Walton carded her 3rd hit of the game, bringing Hendrickson home in the process to tie it at 7-7. And then Leighton Salazar was intentionally walked. One of their leadoff hitter, obviously one of their better hitters.
Smart idea if you're trying not to get a hit.
Yeah, but then you got Ella Griner, who's dangerous herself, and she delivered what would be the go-ahead run there with a 2-out RBI single, scoring Walton to make it 8-7. And then Bella Salazar and company were able to close it out there in the bottom of that inning to pick up a huge 8-7 win. And great start for the for what they would need is a sweep in the series. But then in Game 2, it was pretty close through the game. A leadoff double by Leighton Salazar led to a 1-0 lead after the top of the first. She was brought home an RBI by Colby Griner. But then Burlington scored 2 in the bottom half of the inning with a 2-run homer. And then the Demons knotted the game at 2 after scoring 1 in the second. But Burlington went on to score 5 runs in the bottom of the 4th. And then they would never lose it. Washington did outscore the Greyhounds 4-2 in the final 3 innings there, but it wouldn't be enough as they got the victory 9-6 there, hence clinching the Southeast Conference title for the second straight season there. And pretty good showing for the Demons despite the loss. Losses, obviously, Burlington's a great team, and they'll get another shot at them on Thursday. But as of right now, Burlington's 13-1. Washington 11-3, and Washington's second place finish. And looking at the rosters, both of these teams are very young, so they're going to be doing battle for a long time.
Yeah. Washington just didn't. If they could have stayed perfect going into the Burlington series, they could have just had to win 2 out of 3, or even not dropped one of those games earlier. But you don't get much better the 1-2 punch than Leighton Salazar and Ella Griner 1-2. The stats from those two have been crazy. Leighton gets hit pretty much every single time, and Ella Griner's been probably possibly our hottest hitter this week softball-wise. Although there was a lot hitting in Fairfield last night. Trojans pretty well locked into third. They played Keokuk in an SEC doubleheader. It was a wild one. It didn't start out that way, but Fairfield ended up winning game one 10-8, and then Keokuk came back with a 13-8 win over Fairfield in game two. So game one, it was all Fairfield right off the bat. Everything kind of was going to plan. I was sitting there chatting with Jacob Linsendorf from KTVO, and we kind of talked about how it was going to be a short night on the softball field. They had 4 runs in the first, 4 runs in the second. It was an 8-0 lead. Left them loaded, I think, in the second there. And then Keokuk comes back to score the next 6 runs, 2 each in the third and fourth, 1 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth. So it was 8-6. All of a sudden, it was a little hairy. And Fairfield's offense just kind of slumped for a little while. Got 2 back in the sixth. Keokuk 2 in the seventh wasn't quite enough, but a dangerous one there for Fairfield, even with Cody Engel on the in the circle. Won that one 10-8. It was senior night, and Morgan Amet, one of their seniors who's gotten a lot more time in the lineup this year, had a couple of hits at double, a couple RBIs to lead the team. Lane Norris had a couple RBIs as well, so pretty good showing for those guys. But then in game two, it was a little bit of the opposite. Fairfield found themselves the team that had to crawl back. Keokuk scores the 9 in the first 10. They were up 9-1 at the end of the fourth inning. In fact, going into the bottom of the fifth, it's 9-1. And Fairfield rallied it, got it to 9-6. All of a sudden, you're thinking maybe Fairfield's going to pull one of those comebacks that they've been so kind of infamous for the last couple of years. Keokuk put up 4 in the sixth, and then Fairfield not only scored 2 in the seventh, but they had the bases loaded, and they had the meat of their lineup coming up, and just one too many grounders, hard grounders to the wrong girl. So a 13-8 loss. So Keokuk knocking off one of the top 3 teams in the SEC. I think that's the first time that they have done that this year, or even in this little run. We know that Keokuk's pretty young. But something interesting is that Keokuk did not strike out one time in that game.
Wow.
There was a threesome of Lainey Norris, Lee Helmick, and Claire Thompson pitching for the Trojans. They only gave up, out of those 11 runs, only 2 of them were earned. So errors. Coach Bob Bradfield was counting them up in his head during the interview, and I think he counted to 7 just off the top of his head. So it was just a little rough game for the Trojans there. And Olivia Hollander, who's been on fire, had a couple RBIs. Lee Norris had a couple RBIs. Savannah Hollander had an RBI, and Lily Berggren 3 for 4 with an RBI. Speaking of hitters that have been pretty hot, Fairfield scoring like crazy on the softball field. It's just didn't quite have the defense. And then we got one more team in action at Fort Madison last night. How did the Panthers do?
Yeah, Mount Pleasant, obviously a tough season. A lot of young girls there. Holding the 6th spot in the Southeast Conference. They took on number 4 right now, Fort Madison. Pair of losses for the Panthers in this one, 11-1 in game 1 and 10-2 in game 2. Really just couldn't get the bats going against the Bloodhounds in this one. Fort Madison scored 5 runs, and then 5 runs in the first inning, and then 3 more in that second. And the Mount Pleasant was really never able to answer back. They added 3 more in the fourth to make it 11-0. The Panthers' lone run in game 1 came in the top of the 5th inning. Addison Clark ended with a hit and an RBI, the lone RBI for the Panthers in that first game. And Jersey Beachy and Jolene Martin each had hits as well. In game 2, the Panthers and Bloodhounds were scoreless through 2 innings of action, and then Fort Madison opened up the game with 2 runs in the bottom of the third, and once again would never lose it once they got the lead there. After a scoreless fourth, the Bloodhounds scored 5 more in the bottom of the 5th to make it 7-0. And then the Panthers were able to get 2 runs of their own in the top of the 6th with Jolene Martin and Ella McNamee each picking up RBIs there. But then Fort Madison capped it off in the bottom of that inning with 3 more runs to kind of seal it. And and then Jolene Martin led the Panthers going 2 for 3. One of our better younger players we covered, sure. 8th grader, with 2 for 3 with an RBI. Ella McNamee 1 for 2 with an RBI as well. And then Kinley White, Addison Clark, Emma Starr, and Jaden Hausch each had 1 hit. And then Martin pitched a complete game. In that second one, they're giving up 10 runs, 5 earned on 14 hits and 3 strikeouts. And with the pair of losses, the Panthers dropped to 4-22 and 1-13 in Southeast Conference play. Really, they're kind of in that 6th spot there. Rounding out this week and heading into postseason play. So
yeah, but I actually think Keokuk beating Fairfield actually locked Mount Pleasant into the 6th spot.
Yep.
As well. I had to go get a I had to go get something from the gas station. I listened to a little bit of that Mount Pleasant game, the one where it was only 2-0 after the fourth inning.
Yep.
And I think a lot of those were scored with 2 outs. Just a couple of balls dropped him. All of a sudden, the middle of Fort Madison's lineup came in, and you could hear Slayton at KILJ talking, and he was like, "Oh, we're in a little." You could tell there was a little trouble in his voice because the middle of the Fort Madison lineup is very, very good.
Well, and you look at it, the 10 runs scored with only 5 earned. I mean, really, you think about it that way, then it's like, if you take away, what the other 5 runs that weren't earned, you take those away, and it might be a different mindset or a different game, depending on however you look at it that way. But
yeah, for sure. And then you're going to see Mount Pleasant tomorrow night, and the road does not get any easier. They've got Davis County tomorrow night.
3, right?
Ranked either 3 or 4 in Class 3A. They've lost exactly 1 game, I believe. And so that's a tough one.
Yep.
Maybe a little Maple Leaf magic for the Panthers.
They've played some tough teams this season, though.
Yeah, they do. It's a tough one. They got a tournament this weekend. So that's all for softball. Just a quick update on SEC softball standings, just so we're all clear here. Burlington clinches first with the 13-1. Washington clinches second, 11-3. Fairfield locked in 3. Oh, look at this. Fairfield locked in 3. Fort Madison locked in 4. Yep. Keokuk locked in 5. Mount Pleasant locked in 6. You could say that the games on Thursday don't matter, but we'll be there anyway.
We'll be there anyway.
And you'll be here watching these commercials because we got to throw it to ad break here. Stick with us. We got Southeast Conference baseball coming up. We still got all the small schools.
Yep.
And the postseason bracket chatter coming up later, too. So stick with us.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hospice isn't a place, it's a type of care that focuses on living. Servicing a 7-county area, the Hospice of Washington County staff of nurses, social work, hospice aides, spiritual and grief support, volunteers, music and massage therapists are able to provide free end-of-life care where the patient lives. We write wills, give consent for organ donation, but rarely is there a plan for what we would want the final phase of our lives. At Hospice of Washington County, we encourage our patients to be in charge of their healthcare decisions while maintaining quality of life.
Unbelievable amount of devastation. I've never seen anything like it.
We had a beautiful barn that was gone in 20 minutes.
Farm Bureau stepped up right away and said, hey, we got you and we'll be there for you.
We were taken care of. Now we could get on to repairing and rebuilding.
I tell everybody about Farm Bureau.
We're fortunate to say we have good coverage with good people doing it.
Contact Farm Bureau agents Tony Starr and Mike Welcher in Mount Pleasant today.
Tammy takes the time and has the personal interest in each one of us. I don't worry about what's going to happen because I know my policy is taken care of.
She pulls what I need and puts it together, which is the program I get from her.
Every year she calls around September or so and says, there's changes again, and I'm going to do the best thing for you. It's been perfect. She does a great job.
At the Capper Auto Group, we put our customers' needs first and understand that everyone is as different as the vehicle they select. We offer new Ford, Chevrolet, Buick, GMC, Jeep, Chrysler, Dodge, and Ram vehicles in a friendly environment that puts you in the driver's seat. When it comes to service, we maintain factory-trained technicians and competitive pricing. The Capper Auto Group still believes that service after the sale provides the best customer experience. Come see the Capper experience for yourself.
When you aspire to be a dancer, you are both an artist and an athlete. Your strength combines with beauty and grace seamlessly. Your efforts result in enhanced coordination, the ability to cooperate and compromise with others, and the confidence to perform in front of an audience. Not to mention the fun you will have and the lifelong friendships you will develop. We are enrolling now for fall classes, and we would love to see you shine like the star that you are. Join us for Dance and Tumbling at Stairway to the Stars. Please visit our website for online registration.
Hello. Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk, powered by Fairway. I lost my train of thought. I was looking at my pretty Hannibal Grange University shirt in the thing there. I'm not sure now that all the Wesleyans basketball players play for William Woods. I don't know how much I can wear this around town until they go off to college. I might get mugged in the parking lot or something.
Yeah, be careful.
The Ashton family or something. So anyway, that has nothing to do with it. Did I say Powered by Fairway? We're Powered by Fairway.
Yeah,
we're on Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Twitter. Am I missing any?
Nope.
Nope. That's all we are. We're going to talk a little baseball. So as even though softball really, your game was the only game that really decided much as far as the softball standings, last night was a pretty big day in the sport of baseball. So I was at Fairfield last night. They played Keokuk. Going into last night, Fairfield, Mount Pleasant, Fort Madison, and Keokuk all had a shot at second place. Fairfield and Mount Pleasant were 6-6. Keokuk had 5 wins. Fort Madison had 4 wins. So because Mount Pleasant played at Fort Madison, it could get jumbled like crazy, but it did not. In fact, Fairfield kind of flexed their muscle a little bit on the Chiefs. They won game 1 14-7, and game 2 a shortened game 2 because it was a 10-run rule, 10-0 in 6. So Fairfield scored the first 4 in game 1. Keokuk came back, tied it up, and then a 7-run bottom of the 4th for Fairfield put that one on ice. They were pretty darn patient at the plate. They only had 5 hits to score those 14 runs. How many of those were earned, I wonder? I should have checked that out earlier. Keokuk made a couple of bad plays in the field, but there was a lot of, let's see, what they had 3 hit-by pitches and it drew 8 walks. So it was just one of those innings where they loaded the bases and it was like walk, hit-by-pitch, single, walk, hit-by-pitch. And Tate Allen was on the mound. You know, usually in an SEC game, he's not giving up any runs. He gave up 5, and they still were able to. He gave up 4, and they were still able to win that game. Nate Consul was the relief pitcher there for 2 of those 7 innings. Little stats from game 1. As I said, only 5 hits, but there were 2 RBIs from Allen, 2 RBIs from Cody Burleson. And an RBI from a few other guys, including Isaac Harris. By the way, it was senior night in Fairfield, so Tate Allen and Isaac Harris, so 2 seniors for those guys. And then we run to game 2, and Dane the Brain Burkhart was on the bump for Fairfield. He pretty well dominated. 6 innings, only gave up 3 hits. He's got the glasses. I was telling Coach Allison last night, he's got the cool guy glasses like me and you that don't have. Do you have the little things in your eyes that, like the little plasticky pieces?
Nope.
No? Yeah. Cool guys, because they feel like sunglasses, right? Oh, no, you totally do.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, you do.
My bad. I was thinking of.
Well, me and Dane the Brain both have they feel like sunglasses when they slip.
Brain.
Anyway, 6 innings, 3 hits, and 2 walks. Struck out 3, and the Fairfield offense teased me on a 10-run rule a couple of innings before they finally got her done, because it seemed like the bases were loaded every single inning. But 1 in the first, 2 in the third, 3 in the fourth, 2 each in the 5th and the 6th. And they had 7 hits in this one. Tate Allen, again, 2 for 4 with an RBI. Landon Nodrift had a couple RBIs. Talon Bates, 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs. His RBI numbers have shot up. There's another kid I'm going to talk about whose RBI numbers have shot up here in a bit from Mount Pleasant. But we've had a couple of kids that, if you had a little stat leaderboard, which they do on Varsity Bound, and you just kind of did a little time lapse of the last few weeks when these a lot of these runs have been scored in these higher scoring games, Talon Bates is one of those kids that has really shot up that one. So that brought Fairfield to 14-17 overall. They got Centerville. You'll be there tonight.
Yep.
Fairfield plays Centerville in baseball and Albia in softball. A couple of I went to Sheraton, so there are a couple of my old enemies.
Should be some good games.
Yeah, it should be a couple of really good games. You could have a couple barn burners tonight. So you went to Washington last night. You went to Burlington. B-Town versus W-Town, but we sent you on the road.
Yep.
It's rare we're on the road, but it kind of needed to last night for...
in Burlington, not too bad.
That's barely on the road. You live in New London. That's basically your hometown.
Right.
But you didn't get to see a lot of baseball because the softball games were so big and they were at different locations, correct?
Yeah,
Did they play baseball at Community Field?
No, they didn't.
Oh, they didn't? Oh, so they're at the same location.
Yeah,
it's a walk. It's a jaunt. So tell me how Washington baseball did.
It was a tough night for the Demons. Obviously, Burlington's been kind of, you could say, the top dog in baseball season long. They pick up a pair of wins there over Washington, 14-2, game 1, 9-2 in the second. And obviously, Burlington, I believe, since last week has clinched they clinched the share of the league last week, but now with these pair of wins, they've clinched the SEC title there. Game one started out pretty good for Washington, I guess, on the right note, you could say. They scored 1 run in the top of that first inning there, but Burlington answered back with a 3-run homer in the bottom of that first inning there, and the rest was kind of history in that first one. The first one was the first of 3 for the Greyhounds in that opening game there, so they really were seeing it at the plate. After a scoreless second inning, Burlington went on to score 3 in the third, 4 in the fourth, and 5 more between the fifth and the sixth to pretty much seal it there. The Demons scored their final run in the fifth inning, top of the fifth inning there. And then in game 2, it was pretty tight, back and forth game for 2 innings, 2 scoreless innings, in fact. And then Burlington really opened it up there with an 8-run bottom of the third inning, and that was pretty much all she wrote in that one as well. Both teams went scoreless through the fourth and fifth, and then each scored a pair in the sixth. Washington scored 1 more in the seventh, but that's all they could get on the board there, and ended up falling in that one, like I said, 9-2. So obviously, Burlington, really good team, showed why they're a great team with the bats there, and played some solid defense too all around. And a pair of losses for Washington. I believe they're now slated in that 6th spot there to end the season. Obviously, if I looked at the board, it's
kind of because they can still win. Actually, well, I should have mentioned last night that Washington was right in there with they were just below those 4 teams I was talking about going into last night.
Fort Madison, and
they just had to upset Burlington, and they are still 1 game behind Fort Madison and 1 game behind Keokuk. So. Yeah, they just have to win this week and have one of those guys lose, or both.
Need a Fairfield win.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so Washington, by the way, their schedule doesn't do them any favors. They've got 1 more against Burlington, and they've got Mid Prairie.
Number 2, Mid Prairie.
In the middle of that. Who are you going to pitch when you have 3 games against the SEC champions? Not that Mid Prairie doesn't also have 4 conference games this week, too. So
right.
I'll do a little Mount Pleasant. They're a little... there's little mess-ups with the stats last night in Mount Pleasant. You'll understand why, because there are a lot of runs scored in the first game. 19-11 going to the bottom. Mount Pleasant won that. I hope that was 19-11 because that's what I'm going to say. And we had to push that story back a day because there was a little bit of a stats error. But no error was Carter Amos at the plate the last 2 at-bats. He collected 7 RBIs in the course of 2 innings, 3-run homer, and a grand slam in the last couple innings where Mount Pleasant really was able to pile on against Fort Madison last night. And then in game 2, they were down 8-2 going into the bottom of the 6th, so 8-2 going into the top of the 7th. Got a couple guys on, had the middle of the order. They cut it to 8-5, 2 outs and 2 on, but so they got the tying run to the plate, but couldn't quite get it across. So that was a tough one for Mount Pleasant because, as I said, they were tied with Fort Madison going into last night. Obviously, Mount Pleasant was in a little bit of a worse spot because they had 2 road games instead of 2 home games. They will return to play Fort Madison at home on Thursday. Fairfield will play at Keokuk on Thursday, and either Mount Pleasant's got to win and have Fairfield lose to tie that up, and otherwise Fairfield is your lone 2nd place team, and then that also has something to do with the whole Keokuk, Fort Madison, Washington situation. By the way, significance also in that is that the Class 3A brackets come out tomorrow.
Yep.
And, Southeast Iowa, the people in Des Moines and Boone don't really want to mess around and try and figure out how you're going to take a team from, Fairfield and throw them up, or Mount Pleasant and put them west. So usually they all end up in the same district. That's not a guarantee, obviously. Yep. But that could be Mount Pleasant, Fairfield. You got a 8-6 team that's 14-17 overall in Fairfield, versus a 7-7 team that is 11-11 overall in Mount Pleasant. So that's not the easiest decision to make.
No.
And Fairfield beat Mount Pleasant 2 out of 3. So I don't know. That could be a 4-5. I could see that just being straight up a 4-5 game with them playing against each other. And the other 3 might have some trips.
Yeah.
Because the last
some tough opponents.
They've been throwing Davenport Assumption at us. So Marion. They got some good teams in Des Moines. So usually, if you're one of the teams that knows you're going to be a 5, 6, or 7 seed, or sorry, 6, 7, or 8 seed, then you got to kind of squeeze out those brackets and just pray for the best. and I'm going to pray for the best because I don't even need to hope for the best because the best is coming up in the form of commercials. We got a couple minutes of commercials here. When you come back, we're going to talk small school baseball and softball. Had a lot of games over the weekend. And then we have some updates on some playoff brackets. So stick with us.
Family owned and operated by Andy and Sarah Ross, Ross Auto has been your vehicle repair and maintenance headquarters since 1935. We specialize in all makes of cars and light-duty trucks. With our variety of available services, let us help you keep rolling and your vehicle operating efficiently. Services include general auto repair, alignments, brakes, fuel injection, and more. Schedule your appointment today at 319-653-5656. That's 319-653-5656.
At 5 Star Community Credit Union, we want to help you lead a better life. We offer competitive rates and convenient appointment times for all kinds of loans: auto, recreational vehicles, home equity, line of credit, holiday, and personal loans. We make it easy to build your credit and enjoy the good things in life.
We invite you to join 5 Star Community Credit Union. We are community-minded and member-focused. Come visit our locations in West Burlington and Mount Pleasant or online at 5starcu.org. Federally insured through the NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
At Brown Shoe Fit, we pride ourselves on traditional sit and fit service that's been serving the Mount Pleasant area since 1952. At Brown's, we have shoes for the whole family. From kids to adults, we carry the finest footwear for every occasion. Whether you're looking for something for work, casual wear, or exercise, we've got you covered. And don't forget about our selection of safety toe footwear for both men and women. Come visit us 6 days a week and experience the best in traditional sit and fit service. Brown Shoe Fit, where quality and tradition meet.
Bring the kids and share the memories from steam engines, antique cars and trucks, tractors, gas engines, and horses. Maybe your memories are of great food from the North Village to the Log Village, or learning how to square dance over at the Dance Barn. This is the place where memories are made. Make plans now to enjoy the history of the past at the 2023 Midwest Old Threshers Reunion, August 31st through September 4th in Mount Pleasant. Visit oldthreshers.com for more details.
Welcome back, Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk Live. Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk Live, powered by Fairway Food Stores, and we have some breaking news by our ace reporter Hunter Molek. And we shoot over to Hunter for the news that you saw on Twitter.com.
Yeah, breaking news from about 4 hours ago when I first saw it, but just remembered it. We have one of our athletes going D1. Winfield Mount Union's Abram Edwards will be playing football for Army. Not next year, but the next year when he graduates. So congratulations to him playing at the next level. Exciting player we get to cover around here. So yeah,
that fits really well for him. They run a ton, and he gets a lot of play action stuff, and that's pretty much Army. You run a bunch and throw it to the tight ends. So
and I saw he's been playing actually some. He's been going to camps as like a DN too.
Oh really?
So I'm not sure if he's going to plan to go. As a defensive end or tight end. So I guess we'll see.
I don't know. The picture that he has posted on Twitter, he's number 86.
True.
So there you go. So we have a favorite in the Army-Navy game now. We don't have any Union kids that play for the Navy. I always used to cheer for the Navy, too, because my best man at my wedding was in the Navy. Not anymore. I'm an Army guy now.
Nice.
Let's talk a little small school baseball and softball action. Now, Hunter, when we were chatting about everything and anything under the sun, do you think that I did the work that I was supposed to do and clicked on the baseball softball roundup so I could read them off here real quick?
Nope.
No, I didn't.
But you want me to go through the brackets for Class 1A?
Yeah. We'll flip it. We'll talk go 1A baseball brackets first.
Yeah, we'll jump in here. The full story we'll have out tomorrow online, I guess, and then Thursday's paper.
Yeah.
Paper technically. But looking at the 1A, we'll just go through our teams here. Class 1A Sub-State 5. We've got Highland New London kicking it off to play for a chance to play against Burlington Notre Dame, obviously number 8 in Class 1A, number 1 seed in the bracket here. On District 10, in the bottom of this bracket, we've got Hillcrest Academy taking on Lone Tree, Keota and Pekin playing against one another. Those 4 teams there, the winner of the pairs will get to play each other. And that's the end of that one as far as our teams in Class 1A. Up in Class 2A, Class 2A Sub-State 6, Van Meter, number 1 in Class 2A, Van Meter's in this bracket. The lone team we have here is Cardinal. They'll take on Centerville in round 1 for a chance to play Pella Christian. And then in the Class 2A Sub-State 5, we've got Mid Prairie as the number 1 seed, obviously number 2 in Class 2A. Other teams featured here will be Winfield Mount Union and Columbus. They'll take on Louisa Muscatine in the opening round for a chance to play on number 2 seed in the district, Van Buren County. That's kind of what the I guess the road looks like for our area small schools as far as trying to make the state tournament. That's where it begins, and
yeah, that's exciting. A lot of our area teams put together, which I like to see, because then we don't have to skip people. These games come up. There's like 20 games a night during the beginning of the playoffs, because sometimes softball, baseball's on the same night, and then we pick 2, and then the 3rd and 4th one have walk-off home runs or perfect games, and then people are like, Andy Hunter, where are you at?
And I didn't read where they were located, but tune in to check out the story that will be out, and then you can read all about it.
What a great teaser. What a great teaser. All right, I'm going to jump into some small school. We'll go baseball scores from this weekend. This weekend there were 1 million games, because small schools played a lot of Thursday, Friday conference games and crossover games, and then there are a few baseball teams that decided to get a little more baseball action with some tournaments. So I'm going to go pretty fast and furious, but let's talk first about Hillcrest Academy, your Southeast Iowa Super Conference. It's really hard to say that because Southeast Iowa Union. Southeast Iowa Super Conference North Division champions. Non-conference win 12-2 over Prince of Peace. Luke Schrock 3 for 3, 2 doubles. Liam Schrock 2 for 3 with a couple RBIs. Highland just decided to play like 400 games this weekend. 16-1 over Lone Tree. Winners. They fell 15-8 against Northeast, and then they played North Lynn, number 6 in the state, 4-0. You could guess that Ethan Paisley was on the mound for Highland in that game. That shows that when he's on the mound, they can play with anybody.
Early in the season, though.
Yeah, that's right. Check out the store online, by the way, for a nice file photo of Rowan Miller of Hillcrest Academy and Jaden Wolver of Pekin, because the Pekin Panthers 2-1 winners over Wapello. Will Adam and Jaden Wolver both had a couple of hits in that one. Winfield Mount Union Columbus. Winfield Mount Union Columbus fell to Lone Tree, and the decision. Steve Harvey walked up with the with the envelope and said, "Not so fast," because there was a pitch count error for the Lone Tree Lions, and so officially, for anybody who went to that game, it was not a 10-0 win for Lone Tree. In fact, it was a 7-0 forfeit win for Winfield Mount Union Columbus, which counts as a North Division win for them. Pitch counts. That's not the first time that's happened. Nope. Since they've put in the pitch counts 2 or 3 times a year, it's just hard to. The math sometimes doesn't work out. Right. So, and then Louisa Muscatine 8-2 over WMU Columbus. Van Buren County 15-4 over New London, and then they had a shot at the Southeast Iowa. You know what? The SEISC South Division Championship. They played number 8 Notre Dame pretty darn tough on Friday night. Lost 8-5, so Van Buren County has to settle for second. Beat North Maska 13-0 also. West Burlington and New London played a fun one, 15-14. West Burlington would have been more fun if it was 15-14 New London. Right. And then Cardinal, how about this one? This is a doubleheader. Cardinal and Albia, South Central Conference action. Albia 18-2 in 4 innings in Game 1. Game 2, Cardinal 8-0. They did that earlier this year. I think it's Eddyville maybe where it was something like that.
They played Davis County, because I was at Davis County Mount Pleasant, and I was talking to a guy from Davis County. And I said, "Yeah, I saw that you guys beat Cardinal lost to Cardinal 18-0, and then beat Cardinal 23-4."
Yeah, that's what it was.
I was like, what? I was like, I don't know how they just flip it like that. How it's, I don't know, but Yeah, talking about kind of flip off in scores like that.
I had a coach one time, was that maybe Troy Mears at Mount Pleasant softball, where they would always lose game 2. And so after game 1, he made him stay in the dugout one day. He's like, just stay, just don't go out and like talk to your families and get food and stuff because something's going wrong. I think he fixed it a little bit with that plan. So maybe stay in the dugout or maybe drive home and drive back, something like that. Although Cardinal won game 2, so that's the total opposite. Number 2, Mid Prairie, 7-3 winner over West Liberty. Durant played in Prairie Darn Tough, 12-11. Mid Prairie in that one. Mid Prairie plays at Washington on Wednesday night in a fun little game. And then Belle Plaine 10, Keota 2. Eagles fall in that one. How about a little softball, Hunter?
Yeah.
I gotcha. Here we are. Softball, Van Buren County. They are keep rolling. There's a reason that they are the number 2 seed in the regional that I'm going to talk about that you haven't heard about because we haven't even had that segment yet.
Nope.
15-7 over Holy Trinity. New London down 12-0 against West Burlington. Mid Prairie falls 15-1 to West Liberty. These are all weekend games, by the way. Mid Prairie had a couple big wins last night. Mid Prairie 5-0 against West Liberty. Win 10-1 loss to Mount Vernon. And Cardinal had Albia, who you will see tonight in Fairfield, in a South Central Conference battle, lost 8-0. Cardinal also fell just short of a comeback against PCM 3-2. They had runners on base there with a chance to win that one. Keota 12-2 losers against Belle Plaine. Lone Tree beats WMU 17-3. Highland 15, Hillcrest Academy 2. Well, I'm gonna save what I'm gonna say about Highland until a second, but I'm gonna talk about them again real quick because 10-0 over Lone Tree as well. And then Columbus Waco beats Pekin 14-1. If you want to know the final photo in that picture or in that story, is by the way Jocelyn Fulton of Columbus Waco, and we've got Van Buren County's Ashland Huff. So if that gets more people to click on it. Yeah, and we got regional softball brackets. Yeah. I wrote that one also. Yeah. File photo, Emma Becker of Cardinal. Have you checked out the girls regionals much?
No, I haven't looked at them.
I'm gonna go big class to small class.
Okay.
Mount Pleasant is our only 4A team. They will be getting another shot at the Keokuk Chiefs, who they're 1-2 against this year. They beat them. Actually, they were beating on them pretty good in one of those games in Mount Pleasant. Lost the second and then lost over in Keokuk, so they will be at Joyce Park in Keokuk. For that one, Class 3A, I think last week we talked about how crazy it was going to be because there aren't any bad 3A teams.
No, there's not.
So first off, Mid Prairie is in Region 6, so they're not part of the real local one. I thought they might be too. Washington plays Central Lee, who Central Lee's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
If they win, they got to go to Assumption, number 2.
I believe they lost to Central Lee by 1 run, I think.
They might have. Well, they beat up on Central Lee once when they played them this year. They might have played them twice this year.
I can't remember.
And then, so they have to win. If they win, they'll most likely be up at Davenport Assumption, which with Washington's offense, I don't, in 3A, some of these teams I could see beating anybody.
Yeah.
On the other side, we got Columbus Waco. They'll go to West Liberty. Fairfield will go to West Burlington. That's a fun little pitchers duel right there between Cody Engel and Lauren Summers.
Yeah.
And then those two winners will play against each other. And so got a couple chances of a couple upsets. We could have an all-union regional final maybe.
It's real hard for softball, I feel like.
The road's real hard?
The road's, it's a hard one because...
Oh, the road is real hard. I think you used to meant playing on the road.
No. I'm just saying like the road's a hard one for softball because there's so many teams, especially in 3A.
Yeah, 3A is a really tough one.
It's like, I don't know.
So a lot of times in sports, Mount Pleasant, Fairfield, and Washington are always kind of on the precipice.
Yeah.
3A, 4A. Sometimes the 4A, like in football, 4A is just daunting, to get thrown up there. In softball, the last few years, the 3A teams have really made some strides. Even in that bracket, there's no Albia, there's no Sheraton, there's no Davis County.
Right.
From this side, they're all ranked teams. Instead ending up with Assumption, which do you really want to end up with Assumption? I don't know, but we'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. And then, as I said, 3A, Mid Prairie's at Center Point Urbana. CPU is the locals there like to call it. Class 2A, this is when I was trying to tell you about baseball earlier. I was lying. I was talking about softball. Pekin Cardinal and Van Buren County are all in Region 7. That is the region that holds Iowa City Regina, ranked number 1. Yeah, I know it's pretty tough. Although we might get a nice little rematch of Cardinal and Iowa City Regina because Cardinal plays West Branch in the opening round. They'd then play Regina if they won. 2 years ago, those two played a 1-run game to go to state. Heartbreaker for Cardinal. In fact, Cardinal has had a last couple years.
Yeah.
And then Van Buren County has the 2 seed in that. So they're favored on the bottom side of the bracket, but they didn't get any favors in the bracket because they will be playing the winner of Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont, and Pella Christian. Eddyville, Blakesburg, Fremont has beaten Davis County, a top 4 team. So somebody wasn't... a Van Buren County hater was...
look at Columbus, too, and they've played
some
great teams as well. They beat Sigourney, right?
Cardinal beat Sigourney twice,
and Sigourney
so far
was
this year.
rated in top 5.
So if you're
Or 7.
Regina, really this is just a tough bracket.
Yeah, this is just
you have the number 1 team. There's no way that EBF and Pella Christian should be a play-in game, and then you have Van Buren County and Cardinal both, and Cardinal's a 4 seed in that, a ranked team to start the year.
Yeah, and Cardinal.
And then so Pekin has struggled this year, but if they really want to mess stuff up, they could beat Tipton, Regina, and then the rest of the field because they're on the top in a little play-in game. Those start on the 30th, by the way. The 2A and 1A starts on the 30th. Everything else starts right after July 4th. So Class 1A, Region 8 is where a lot of our teams are at, pretty much all of our teams. Number 8, Sigourney, who has been defeated by Cardinal this year a couple times, is the top seed in that one. And we got New London at Holy Trinity, Winfield at Wapello, Highland hosts Lone Tree, Kyoto at Moravia, and Hillcrest Academy, Tri-County. Highland is in the 4 seed spot there. So Highland could play Sigourney as early as their second game, which would be pretty wild.
Yeah, tough match.
Those are 2 teams I think that at the beginning of the year you'd say that was a regional final. So I was going to say that Sigourney probably does not like seeing Highland in their bracket. And Highland the last couple of years has pulled off upsets. I remember them beating WMU a couple of years ago and they were top seeded. And so I think that'll be a fun one. We're going to have a lot of tough.
And Highland's got all the tangibles to make a run.
Yeah, they sure do. And I looked at the schedules, and we're going to have a tough time figuring out which softball games to get to because I'm pretty sure that a lot of those projected games in 3A, 1A, and 2A especially are all at the exact same time. So you'll see us at one of us. If you don't see us, we're somewhere else. You got anything else, Hunter?
I don't. It's almost postseason time.
You happy to be back in Iowa?
Yeah.
Almost postseason time, yeah. I'm ready to go take a nap. My wife's been gone this week, and so I've been in charge of the kids at night, and I don't know.
Yes.
It's always daddy during the day.
Yeah.
Once you get to night, it just something flips.
Yeah.
They're like, no, get out of here.
Get out.
So I haven't been sleeping very much. So, that's all we got today. Yeah. Southeast Iowa Union presented by, who are we powered by, Hunter?
Fairway Foods, I think.
And where can you watch this show?
What?
Where can you watch this show?
Well, you can watch her on Washington Live Facebook, Fairfield Live, Mount Pleasant Live as well, and then Washington Live YouTube, Washington Live Spotify. Catch us wherever you like.
That's right. And we are live 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. Reminder, you can always watch replays on YouTube. In fact, my mom is in helping me watch the kids. And shout out if she got it working. I just told her, if you can't figure it out, just watch an old one. Who cares?
And we're also on Twitter.
And we're also on Twitter at Union Sports Page. And we'll really ramp up during the playoffs, getting those scores.
We're gonna be a lot of retweeting too.
Yeah, it's been getting warm. I've been tweeting a lot more. It's been warm. I've been feeling it. I kind of feel bad during soccer and track season because it's cold.
Tweet,
It's cold. I'm like, I'm not gonna tweet this till it's over. So that's all we got.
Yeah.
So we'll see you.
We'll see you when?